Hi, I'm Jonathan Gifford. I'm here today with Mark Powell, Dr. Mark Powell, the author of The Fifth Phase, an insight-led approach to business transformation. Mark and I go back a bit because we've written 4 books together, but mainly on the theme of what business can learn from the performing arts. So we're here today to talk about data, which is Mark's patch. Mark, can you tell us some more, just briefly, about your long career in consultancy, but your recent involvement with data analytics in particular?
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, of course. I mean, by background, I am a strategy and transformation consultant. I spent 30 plus years basically working on strategy and business transformation, multi-sectors, but mainly utilities and energy sectors. And then I had a bit of an epiphany more than 10 years ago now, I think, when I ran out of things to do to actually transform organizations because everyone has sort of done it. And at the time, I was working in an organization that had a small but very good analytics practice. And I was working with a water company at the time, and they were basically saying, "Look, how do we improve performance? We've tried everything that's available. What else do we do?" And I had this idea saying, "Well, I've seen these people who do analytics. Let's explore what you could do with it." And I sat down with the board of said company, and we basically remapped them a series of analytics optimization questions. And I just had this sudden realization of, oh my God, this is the next concept in business transformation. So for the last 10 years, I've been basically exploring how do you deploy data analytics to drive business transformation, not as a tool, not as technology, but how do you fundamentally reimagine or rethink what you could do with an organization, how you could transform it and take it to the next level of performance by applying data analytics. So that's kind of where I came from. That's kind of my background.
Yeah, yeah. So an obvious question is the fifth phase. So what are the first 4 phases? I know that you start with what we tend to call Taylorism, Frederick Winslow Taylor in the late 1900s, late 19th century, I beg your pardon, and then moving on through different phases. So could you just outline very quickly what the first 4 phases are, so we can move on to the fifth phase?
Yes, of course. I mean, if you look at business transformation, my kind of point of view is that it has gone through to date 4 main phases. And the first phase is what we refer to now as scientific management, or people would probably know it better as time and motion study, which is basically the application of mathematics in reality to the most efficient way of doing a process, the most efficient way of moving a car through a factory, the most efficient way of organizing labor and machines to produce things at the fastest and cheapest cost. And that has been the basis of manufacturing, not just manufacturing, but the basis of organizations for 130, 140 years. The second phase was an evolution of that, whereby effectively going back to the 60s, where technology in terms of computer technology started to come in from DEC and IBM, and we started to develop effectively computer systems that enabled you to actually put much more information in, and therefore to take kind of scientific management to a whole different level in terms of the ability to consume and process large amounts of data. But in essence, ERP was time and motion on steroids. The third phase, I think it's very much been around effectively lean and Six Sigma waste reduction. Came out of Toyota around how do I take waste out of the process. A different way of looking at it, but fundamentally based on the similar principles of what's the most efficient way of moving something through a process or a manufacturing process with no waste and therefore minimum, maximum minimum cost, maximum profitability. Wow. The fourth phase then started to come around the whole concept of big data. And again, computing go to another level where I can now do phenomenal things with moving large amounts of data. Again, kind of taking the third phase and turbocharging it. The interesting about the first 4 phases, though, in reality, they're based on one fundamental principle, which is efficiency. It's based on effectively being the most efficient way of running a process, taking costs out of the system. The fifth phase is different. The fifth phase for me is around analytics, insight, and it's around effectively reimagining what if I knew things that I didn't know before. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 is around optimizing what I already know, but just doing it better, taking waste out, doing it more efficiently. The fifth phase is different. The fifth phase is reimagining how you might run an organization if you knew things that you didn't know before.